So here we are again, folks. A fifth Transformer movie came out just a little over 3 weeks ago, Transformers: The Last Knight. Clearly, we're running a tad behind here. But whether you love them or hate them, the series has legs and a long, convoluted backstory. But what if the series isn't what it seems? The 1980s cartoon followed the efforts of virtuous alien robots called Autobots as they defended Earth against the deceitful Decepticons. And on the surface, the films do that too. But what if Michael Bay's... Well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if there's a lens flare every time I say J.J. Abrams, then an explosion every time I say Michael Bay, it makes sense. It makes sense is all I'm saying. Where was I? Oh yeah, what if this big, loud, noisy film series has more going on than meets the eye? You see what I did there? My theory is this. The more the series progresses and the closer you look, the more it becomes apparent that Optimus Prime was the real villain all along, and Megatron is actually a tragic, misunderstood hero. Welcome to Fancy Theory. Welcome to that sci-fi show. I'm Jay, and today we're talking Transformers, right after the bump. Let's start at the beginning with the first Transformers film. On the surface, based on what we're told by Optimus Prime and the other characters, the Autobots are the good guys. The opening narration features Optimus himself talking about the destructive power of the film's MacGuffin, the Allspark, and how the Autobots are the good guys and the Decepticons are the bad guys. They're called Decepticons. Surely they can't be trusted, right? Might as well have called them Hitlerbots. Huh. Note to self. Screenplay Hitlerbots. On the surface, this is pretty cut and dried, but let's look at Optimus with a little more skepticism. Let's not assume that he's a good guy just because he says he is. Despite the other side being named the Decepticons, it's the Autobots who take on more explicitly deceitful forms. From race cars to fire trucks to ambulances, none of the Autobots' disguises actually reflect what they do. The Decepticons, meanwhile, take on forms that more explicitly match their goals, and in the case of Megatron, choose not to be disguised at all. Even in the first movie, the morality of the Autobots is a little suspect. After Bumblebee gets captured, the other Autobots talk about how savage and violent humans are, and how they'd never harm sentient beings. What's more, Optimus is totally fine with leaving Bumblebee to die, provided they can get the Allspark back. Also, Optimus seems all too willing to recruit two impressionable human teenagers into their dangerous battle for the fate of the universe, which makes him seem more like a fanatical cult leader than a virtuous hero. There's also the way that Optimus fights, which is particularly fascinating. If you go back through the series, watch for every time he kills a Decepticon by destroying their face, with all kinds of tearing metal and leaking fluid as he tears his enemies apart. And sure, they're just robots, but the way Bay films it, it's almost like a horror movie. It's the second Transformers film, Revenge of the Fallen, that starts to show the real cracks in Optimus's facade. Right away, we find out that the Autobots in the US military have teamed up to create a special task force called NEST that goes around the world hunting down the remaining Decepticons in hiding. I mean, if you think about it, that's basically genocide, right? In the third one, Dark of the Moon, they make it even more clear that the US military is using the Autobots for extra firepower in the war on terror, which brings up all kinds of nasty political implications when you think about it. Optimus, it must be pointed out, is fine with all of this since he sees the Decepticons, though few in number and trying to stay hidden, as worthy of extinction and is willing to make a deal with the devil to do it. Optimus's true villainy is even more clear once we learn about Megatron's backstory. Remember the Allspark, the thing that Optimus fought desperately to keep out of Megatron's hands in the first one? It turns out that, without the Allspark, all the babies on Cybertron would die. Prime has doomed his people to extinction because he doesn't like Megatron. For all Megatron's villainy, he's at least consistent about what he wants, the restoration of his people. Optimus doesn't want to defend Earth as much as he wants to defeat his political rival. And what about Optimus? Sure, he dies halfway through the films, spoilers, but once he returns from the dead, thanks to the cult-like dedication of his human convert Sam, who follows him even into robot heaven, he straps on the body parts of his dead friend Jetfire, who willingly tears out his own heart so that Optimus can wear his skin. Creepy. In order to murder the Fallen, and here's where the faces thing comes back in a big way. Not only does he shoot half of Megatron's face off, Prime sadistically shouts, "Give me your face," right before tearing the Fallen's face right off his body. Here, and in the next two films, Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, Optimus starts to look less like a noble hero defending the Earth and more like a violent fanatic whose lust for power puts Earth in constant danger with no thought to the consequences. In Dark of the Moon, we find out that Optimus lied to the characters and to the audience all along. The Decepticons actually won the war for Cybertron long ago, making the Autobots a group of political radicals who simply want to destroy the Decepticons out of spite for their victory. They're basically the robot equivalent of people who still use the phrase war of northern aggression unironically. Plus, Optimus ends that film with even more delicious face violence, committing mob-style executions on Megatron and Prime's old mentor, Sentinel Prime, with absolutely no remorse. In Age of Extinction, Bay doesn't even pretend Prime is anything but absolutely trucking crazy. When Mark Wahlberg's ridiculously named Cade Yeager reactivates Optimus, he's immediately bitter at humanity for his self-appointed position as their protector.
How many more of my kind must be sacrificed to atone for your mistakes?
What do you think being human means? That's what we do. We make mistakes. And sometimes out of those mistakes come the most amazing things. When I fixed you, it was for a reward. That was it. That was why. For money. And it was me making a mistake. Without it, you wouldn't be here. See, if you've got no faith in us, I'm asking you to do what I do. I'm asking you to look at all the junk and see the treasure. You gotta have faith, Prime. In who we can be.
You could play a drinking game for every time Optimus threatens someone or something with death in that movie. He ends that movie literally flying off into space to blow up God.
I am Optimus Prime, and this message is to my creators. Leave planet Earth alone, 'cause I'm coming for you.
Sure, he started out as a cute toy robot that could turn into a semi-truck. But 4 films later, he's ready for robot genocide. What's going to happen to Prime in the next Transformers movie? The trailers for The Last Knight seem to show Optimus going full-on villain, complete with a knockdown, drag-out fight with Bumblebee. I guess we'll find out whether Optimus finally sees the error of his ways, or whether Mark Wahlberg and crew will finally see his true flame-detailed colors. So what do you think will happen in The Last Knight? Will it be more than meets the eye? Huh? Some other third thing? That's all I got for you guys today, and until next time, I'm Jay Parks.